Indeed, indeed, we have a long way to go, but the one good thing is that there are a lot of Kenyans who are recovering. So how do you identify risky behavior? How do you identify that there's something wrong in a loved one, a child? Dr. Kathy Siengo is here this morning and Mark Mbiu to tell us their story. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Well, Dr. Kathy here is here to give us some expert advice and tell us how to get the help. Mark, how are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
You have an interesting story to tell. Let's start from the very, very beginning. Tell me a little bit about your childhood and how you got into bad behavior, for lack of a better term.
Okay. Actually, I grew up with, I never missed out on anything. I went to good schools and, you know, everything was okay. It's just that I got bullied a lot in school. And I got, you know, other students would put stuff in my desk. And I would get blamed for it. And I'd keep on denying and denying and denying it wasn't me, until the noise got so much and so painful, to the point I'd say, okay, fine, I'm the one who did it, so that it can all be over with. And that started making me identify with wanting to be with an older crowd.
Okay.
And being with an older crowd, though they bullied me, I wanted to be like them and be better than them. So I started doing what they were doing. Yeah, so basically that was it. The home front was good. I mean, there were no problems at home. Yeah.
When you say started to do what they were doing, what do you speak
I
of?
mean, I saw guys drinking, I saw guys smoking. So by age 10, 11, 12, I had already started smoking and drinking. By 13, 14, I had started bangi. 14, I had already started heroin.
Wow.
So I never did the 844 system. So, and I never got the drugs from the schools or anywhere, just from area, from home.
Okay.
And yeah, that is what led me to starting to do bad behavior.
Okay.
Actually, one thing I say is that I did it because I was dealing with an internal problem. I never knew how to deal with my emotions.
Right.
And I mean, to date, I have scars. I used to self-mutilate because emotional pain would be so much to the point that I would rather physical pain than emotional pain. And, you know, that's how that's how using now helped me cope.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're of course going to talk about that long journey and your recovery journey. But Dr. Siango, give us some facts here, especially when we're looking at young people. What we're seeing in 2016 is that younger and younger people are getting into alcohol use, they're getting into drug use, they're getting into risky behavior. And some of it, yes, is very driven by emotions and not just knowing what to do with a certain situation. Talk to us about that age group.
Yes, you're right. We are seeing younger and younger children and adolescents get into drug use or what we call substance use. And that's why the theme of this year's International Day Against Drug Abuse is basically about listening to your child and to your youth to get to bond with them, build resilience in them, and build self-esteem in them, teach them social skills and life skills. Like Mark is saying that he had a problem. Nobody noticed quickly to help him that this child was withdrawing. Probably the teachers, he would report about the bullying, but somehow probably they didn't know how to help him.
Right.
When young people are given social skills, like how to socialize, so that you can assert yourself, you can communicate clearly, you have your good self-esteem, you can make decisions. Those are the life skills, the social skills, and then the life skills, which include decision making, relating with other people. So when young people are empowered with that, to the point that when they have issues, they know how to assert themselves, how to negotiate, because it's all about negotiating, it's all about communication, it's all about empathizing with other people and being able to deal with that. So that's why the theme of this year, we want to reach out to parents to be able, the theme is listen to the children and the young people, so that you can actually be able, they can come to you. Probably if somebody is trying, if you're close to them, as a young person, you'll notice the changes in behavior. Again, they can reach to you that I'm being bullied, what can be done? So that's why we emphasize on also the parenting and the teachers aspect into this.
All right.
Yes.
Now, Mark, in terms of looking at your life, you're a young man, you're a young boy, really. You're in your early teens and you're fully addicted at this
Yes.
point. You are using drugs.
Yes.
Tell me about your life. Were you in school? How did you find time? Did your parents know what was going on? Because this lasted over a decade, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Okay, my parents initially didn't know, and used to get pocket money, and with the pocket money, I was in the boarding school, but it was like a weekly boarder.
Okay.
So I'd be going home on weekends, and I'd get pocket money, and with that pocket money, I would be able to use. I was basically a man of the people, you know, guy of rugby, noisemaker, and what have you. But when I started doing drugs, you know, I started isolating and, you know, wanting to be by myself, because I felt different in the sense that I felt I could not relate like other people could. Like an incident happened when I was very, very young. I can't remember how old I was. There was this girl, yeah, and you know she was the in chick of primary
There's
school.
always one.
Yeah, there's always one. And she had a cat, and you know everyone was playing with that cat and you know touching it. And the day I went to touch it, she took it away and treated me like I was some kind
leper.
of
Yeah.
And that really impacted me to the point of, Kwani, what is wrong with me? What is it that I have? And as you know, as time passed, I always started to see, like even the bullying. I never saw anyone else being bullied.
Right. It was just you.
Yeah, I just saw me being bullied. I was like, why? Okay, I used to be a bit of a big, you know,
Yeah.
big bodied guy, and but I could run really fast.
Okay.
So that was a good thing.
Yeah.
But still, I'd get bullied, and I never got to know why. So that is the main reason that really pushed me to want to be like others.
So you had to cover all of that up.
Yes,
that pain, that anger, those questions.
Yes.
Did you ever speak to your parents about the bullying, about the issues at school, about the emotions that you were feeling?
Well, no, I didn't.
Okay.
My mom found out. I don't know how my mom found out. She found out pretty early. She one day came home with so much stuff on. Okay, back then I can't remember what it was called, but it's right now it's UNODC.
Okay.
Came back with papers, with drugs and everything. So you know, I started complaining. What's all this about drugs? Why is all this? And I think that's when she knew. This guy, I think he's the one.
I think he's, yeah, the behavior is there, the tell signs are there.
Yeah.
Daktari, if you look at this kind of situation where parents see that there's a change in behavior, there are signs that there's something off, talk to us a little bit about how to identify that. And because for him it started with alcohol and cigarettes, then it got into bangi, then the gateway drug now got into heroin, which is, I think, the most extreme that you can possibly go as an addict. Talk to us a little bit about that process.
Okay. Yeah, basically somebody who is using a substance will, the behavior will definitely change because they are psychoactive substances. They will influence behavior. Of course, there are the gateway ones like cigarettes and alcohol, which unfortunately are still legal, although they should not be sold to under 18. And like Mark is saying, he was able to access them when he was under 18. Availability is also a very main, because even though he was feeling low and his self-esteem was low, if they were not available, he would not have access to them. So availability, we need to make all these substances unavailable to the young people, but the truth is they are available. So basically, that's why we emphasize we need to spend more time listening to our children, right, and observing them and interacting with them. And even the schools, the teachers need to look out. This child who was good in rugby and was happy, and all of a sudden they don't want to get into the team, they don't want to, they are not excited. the teacher or the parent needs to actually listen to this child, sit with them, notice some of those things. Depending on which drug you use, you could, like cannabis, which is very available in Kenya, some people will lose motivation about anything. They don't care about school. They don't care about studying. Of course, there are physical changes you might see, like reddening of the eyes. Some people will become aggressive. If it's alcohol, of course, it will smell. If it's cigarettes, they can smell. So it is very good. I would say the most important thing is to be on the lookout and supervision, because adolescent period is the period where the brain is developing, and that's the time people want to engage in anything. They want to try out this, and the frontal part of the brain is the last to develop. So that's a critical period, and now we are seeing adolescent age dropping. Now even from 9-year-olds, the substance abuse is also starting very early. So that's the time they will experiment, and that's the time you need to really watch out for the parents and for the teachers.
Okay.
Yes.
Guys, we have a caller on the line. Her name is Beatrice. Good morning, Beatrice.
Morning, Kobe.
Hi, how are you, love?
I'm fine.
Thank you so much for calling. You have a question or comment for my guests?
Niko na comment na question.
Endelea, kuna shida.
I have a brother.
Okay.
Huyo brother wangu ndio last born. I love him so much.
Okay.
But he has a problem. Na nimekubali. He drinks.
Yes.
Anatumia chavis. He takes cigarettes. When he's drunk, anaharasa wazazi wangu. He's that, sijui nitakwambiaje.
He's a nuisance, basically.
Good boy. Unajua nilikuwa shule na tuko shule then.
Yeah.
I used to confront him anytime nikitaka help. But now it's hard to help him.
Don't worry,
Sometimes
Beatrice.
I think of him and I feel bad. He's a good boy. But now when it's hard to help him. I've tried to go talking to my brothers, sisters, but I don't know how to help him.
It's okay, honey. It's
I feel
okay.
bad.
Yeah.
I feel bad. He's
Beatrice,
my small bro.
it's okay, Beatrice. I can tell that this story is very an emotional
If
one.
somebody can help.
Don't worry, exactly. That's why this show happened, okay? There are no coincidences. There are no chances in this life. You did not wake up this morning and turn on your TV out of chance. So your brother is going to get the help. And don't cry. It'll be okay. It'll be okay, because that's very, very hurtful. What can both of you say to Beatrice, Mark?
Okay, one thing I can say is take heart
Yeah.
and pray. Don't give up. Love and love and love. Always support. Set out boundaries. Don't let them take stuff and get away with it. Just set out boundaries and learn how to get tough love. Learn somewhere where you can get skills on getting tough love, because without the tough love, they're going to use you. They're people who know you, they know your weaknesses, and they know that they are able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're going to be able to get whatever it is that they want from you, and usually it's going to be money.
Right.
So one thing I'd really advise you is, or encourage you, is, learn where you can, get tough love and get associated with Al-Anon. There are groups, Thursdays at, I think around 2 at Nairobi Hospital. Go to Al-Anon and meet people. Meet up with people like, Dr. Chengo, and speak and learn about tough love.
Right.
So that you can be able to set out boundaries, so that you realize that these are two lives.
Yeah.
I trained as an addictions counselor.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so here there's also the ability where she has to separate herself and from
From the emotions, right?
yes,
Right? She
and
has
from
to
from the person.
Okay.
Say I didn't get the name of the guy.
yeah, that's Beatrice's brother.
Yeah, Beatrice's brother. So say his name is Brian, and there's Beatrice. So she is known as Beatrice's brother, but she is not Beatrice anymore.
Yeah.
So everybody knows her about Beatrice. Just knows her as Beatrice's brother, because she's just all about Beatrice.
Yeah.
All about
Brian.
all about Brian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But she needs to take care of herself with tough love, taking care of him, teaching him that his consequences or his actions have consequences.
Right.
And she draws boundaries, and these boundaries are what eventually bring someone to
Gets
rock
them
bottom.
to, yeah, exactly. Okay.
And yeah.
And once you get to rock bottom is where the recovery might start.
And
I
yes,
like that.
yeah.
Dr. Siango, what can you say to that? Because families are dealing.
Yeah, I can feel the pain in Beatrice,
Yeah.
and I've felt this pain in many of the family members of users. I would encourage her to get in touch with me through you.
Yes.
We can assess the brother and recommend the right care, whether he needs detoxification. She talks about alcoholism, whether he needs detoxification, whether he needs admission, whether he needs outpatient. You can help them, you can let us connect so that we can be able to assist them.
Yeah.
But it's real pain to the family users, and like Mark is saying, sometimes family members get to the point where they feel like they are failed. Yeah. They wonder why this person can't change, and that's why we say addiction or dependency on drugs is a mental disorder, because you find this person is using this substance, it is affecting his health, people are complaining, relationships are lost, but they can't stop it. Sort of the brain, it's a brain disease.
Right.
So, and then the person who is your family takes it personally, wonders why you can't do it for them, why you can't just be good, but it's a disease.
It's a disease.
Yes,
And people need
and
to
it can
understand
be treated.
that.
Like Mark has been on treatment and is doing well.
Right.
Even the brother can be treated and get well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mark, of course, you'll tell us a little bit about, because for me, heroin is so extreme. You'll tell us a little bit about that drug and what it does to you. But we have another caller on the line. I believe his name is Anthony. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kobe.
Hi, Anthony. How are you?
I'm very fine.
Thank you so much for calling. You have a question or comment?
I have a question and a comment.
Okay, sir. Go ahead.
First of all, it's a comment. Thank you for the program.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's really helping. Eh?
We do this for
And
you
my
guys.
question is, to the doctor, why is it that you find that the children, when they are growing together, in the same family, that one of the kids goes ahead to get into the drugs while others are okay, and they have grown in the same setup. Like my brother, we are a twin brother, we have grown in the same setup, but you find that he has gone out of way and started taking drugs.
Right.
Then these wonders to me as to why, and we are saying that upbringing brings all these problems. So I would like the doctor that this child defects and goes to take the drugs while other children are doing fine. Thank you so much.
Good question, Anthony. Right, what can you say to that?
Thank you very much for that question. Every child is different. Like I'm a mother of two sons, and I know they are both different, different temperaments, but we can also have a child in the family have a mental disorder which has not been diagnosed, like what we call hyperactivity, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. You can have children with conduct disorder, which has not been diagnosed. You can have children with depression, but the temperaments are different. Right. No two children will look the same, because you know you are two parents. The gene combination for each child is different. A bit of this parent, a bit of this parent, a bit of some genes which have never even expressed in your parents being picked by one of the child, and they all go through different circumstances. For example, in a family, you might find a child has been taken to a boarding, another one is in a day school. You might find at some point in the children's life, the parents were quite busy, they were not there for that child, or just because of their temperament, they get predisposed. I want to clarify that I didn't say drug abuse is purely because of the family. No. There are many factors. For example, accessibility. The parent has nothing to do with that. All they can do is to increase supervision.
Right.
But things we can do, we need to discuss and tell people about the things we can change. Like improving children's self-esteem, being there for them, listening to them, observing behavior, such that even if a child tries to use, you notice easily and you get help. And teachers as well, because parents, we take our children to school, the teachers stay with them most of the day. The teachers also need to be able to identify and help this person. Again, friends, people we have adults who start using substances when they are adults. The parents might not be there, the siblings might not be there. So it's not just the family alone, there are issues, even violence, like bullying. Bullying is illegal in schools, right. But it was happening to Mark. Nobody was correcting it. Violence can be in form of even clashes, It can be in form of some countries, children being recruited to war.
Right.
Even kids who are being recruited by politicians to get into violence.
Right, so the
There are, some
environment.
will use, the
Yeah.
environment. So there are many factors. I want to give them hope that there's hope, as Mark shares his story, that whatever drug you're using, whether it's alcohol, whether it's hard drugs, whether it's cannabis, there's help. And so I would want people to take their loved ones for help,
Okay.
and let them not give up, and let them not personalize it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Guys, of course, I am going to share Dr. Kathy Siengo's and Mark's contacts on our social media platforms. It is important that we keep this conversation going. When you think about, you know, your past, when you look at your drug use, when you look at your heroin use, take us through that. What happens when someone takes heroin? And when did you start to realize that you needed to actually stop? When did you realize that this is a problem?
Okay, with the gift of hindsight, okay, I started trying to be helped a very long time ago. By the time I was, I think, 17 years old, I was already in rehab.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And still at, you know, at 30, I was still at rehab. I was still being taken to rehab. I've been to like quite a number. I don't like mentioning the number.
okay,
but
yeah.
it's 10 plus,
Right.
15, 20.
Which means
You
that
know?
even though you were falling and
Yes.
getting and falling off the wagon, you were trying.
Yes, but however,
Yeah.
mostly I was doing it to, you know, maybe kufurahisha wengine, mainly help my parents,
Yeah.
or, you know, do it for my parents. It was hardly ever for myself. But when I did it for myself, I lacked certain skills, and this would eventually lead me back to relapsing. And okay, and also with heroin, it turned me into someone that I was not.
Okay.
It turned me into, there was a point I viewed myself as an animal, not as a human being anymore, because of the kind of stuff I did, the kind of stuff I said, the kind of how I thought about society, about
Were you
other people.
working? Did you have, you know, a social life? What was going on in terms of, apart from the drug use? Did you
No,
have a job?
I mean, immediately after school, I went straight into drugs. I went into school, college, but you know, I opted out of college. I was like, college is taking too much time. I'd rather be using.
Right.
So using took most of the part. So I started getting into behaviors that I would never have gotten into in the first place.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'd say, you know, basically it turned me into somebody who I really don't know what to say. But
Seems like a stranger to you now?
yeah.
When you look
A
back at that
total
person?
yes.
Really?
It's not, yes, completely.
It's a beautiful thing that you've recovered, and we're so happy for you, Mark.
Thank God.
It's absolutely amazing.
Thank God.
Dr. At that point when you realize that there's a problem in your life, and you now want to do it for yourself, not for your parents, not for your spouse or your children, what is that? What is that feeling?
Yeah, it's a good feeling, and part of the motivation interviewing is actually to have this person get motivated to do it. Not to do it to make their parents happy, not to do it to make the doctor happy, not to do it to make his friends happy. When you reach the point where the person wants to do it for themselves, like the stage where Mark is now, then that's a success. And like he was talking about tough love, sometimes you actually keep talking to the person up to the point now they reach a point where they realize, now I have to do this. Because sometimes a family member can be enabling. Like, for example, if you're working and I call to say so and so is sick, when I know you actually drunk, then you will never face the consequences. So sometimes a family member can be an enabler without knowing, not intending to do it, but without knowing. So it's very important to have right professional assessment and the right review and the right treatment done. When it's mild, like you say, some people can pray about it. When they realize when it's mild, some people can do it with counseling or talking to a friend. But when it's addiction, where you try to stop and you can't, then you need actual treatment. Sometimes you might need even medication together with psychotherapy. Yes.
Mark, now when you decided to do this for yourself, when you decided to get treatment, tell me about that process. Where do you go and what does that treatment entail?
Okay. Okay. What happened? A series of things happened. I turned to God, seriously, and in that process, the cry actually of my heart was, can Mark be a normal boy? Because you know, one thing I really disagree with in rehabs is recovery is defined as going back to who you used to be.
Right.
Now, at 13 years old, I don't remember who I was. I don't remember anything about who I am. So, you know, that kept me discouraged. I was like, oh my God, so I'll never be anything because I don't remember who I was. But so I was like, can Mark be, Mark without drugs? Who is Mark without drugs? And so that process is what led me to, actually led my mom somehow met Chengo, and you know they Dr. Chengo, and I got hooked up with a methadone program, and which really, you know, which helped me stabilize my life, and you know, here I am today.
2 years? You've
Yes,
been recovering for 2 years?
yeah, 2 years. 2 years in December. Thank you.
I wish we had an audience. They would be screaming right now for you.
Yeah. One of the things is, one of the reasons I did addiction counseling actually was a way to give back to society, to help other people like me get out of the kind of situation like I was in. What can I do to tell people to get out of this? And one of one of my passions now is to tell young people, like, to go to schools, and especially schools,
Right.
and you know, speak to young children and encourage them, as she was saying, you know, speak out, don't keep up problems. Kama unaona watu wanapigana nyumbani, guys, I mean, your parents are fighting, obviously it's affecting you.
Right.
Yeah, talk about it, and that talking about it is what will relieve internal pressure. And once that internal pressure is relieved, then you're able to be who you are. But if you just keep stuff inside,
That's it.
that's
That's
it.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so happy that you came and that you shared your story. And I'm even happier that you decided to give back in terms of counseling other people. What has come to my mind very quickly now is that we need to address this issue of bullying.
Yes.
We need to speak to parents, we need to speak to teachers, we need to speak to young people, because that's important that we get these young people at that point. Dr. Siango, what are your parting words? There's a lot of literature here, there's a lot of help out there, but it seems that there's a disconnect to people actually going to the rehab, or people even picking up the phone and saying, you know, because it seems expensive, it seems foreign to a lot of people. People don't have insurance, guys are dealing with so many issues. Where do you start?
Yes, for me, I would say we need to all hold up hands and start it all over from primary prevention. And that's why I'm talking about, the theme of this year, let's listen to our children and our youth. Let's know when their self-esteem is affected. Let us know when they are getting through problems. But again, there are some people who are already using drugs.
Right.
There is what we call harm reduction, that you're already using this. How can we still help you where you are? There are people who you start helping, but they tell you, I'm not ready yet. You don't give up on them. You continue reaching out to them up to the point where you motivate them to the point where they accept treatment. So we have to prevent among the young people, and we have to reduce harm in the ones who are using. And for those who can completely recover, we need also to support them. And relapse, because addiction is a chronic disease.
Right.
Relapse will be there in some people, in some substances. So when you relapse, it's not that you have failed.
Right.
You need somebody to hold you and take you back for treatment. So I want to give hope, because I've had even Beatrice call and she was crying. It's really sad. If you have somebody, loved one, who is into drugs, then they don't realize that the pain they are putting you in.
Yeah.
Even if they realize, they don't know how to stop. So it is you to have them get help at whatever point they are, and there's treatment. Like you've seen, Mark is doing very well. There are other people who are doing very well. All sorts of drugs, from alcohol to hard drugs, there's treatment for them.
Okay.
So I encourage people to seek help.
I encourage people to seek help as well. And the one thing that I have to keep emphasizing here is you can't do it alone.
Yes.
You cannot do it alone. But remember this, there's help out there for you. Thank you so, so much, both of you, for being here this morning. We really appreciate you. We'll, of course, share Mark's and Dr. Siango's contacts on our social media platforms. Please log on. Beatrice, Anthony, please log on and let's get help for our loved ones. And yeah, let's start with what we can. Let's start with a little bit of prayer. It goes a long way.
Yes.
It goes a long, long